Alright, Shalom, Akim. This is Benham Magan by Identification. Now, first and foremost, we're going to say Yahweh by Shemel Shai. Yahweh told of His name with our God Jehovah. Yahweh Shai told of His name with our Jesus Christ. Now, secondly, we're going to the Vienna Edis and the Apostle Way Millstone. Peace I take like a visual, low end part of that number. So I'm basically just going into the topic of, of how basically the Native Americans are basically the the northern kingdom, which consists of Issachar, Manasseh, Zebulun, and so on and so on. Now, there's a lot of false doctrines out here. What by me for false doctrines, false theories. For example, the Bering Strait theory that kind of argues against the true doctrine of the scripture, saying that how a stretch of land appeared from Russia to Alaska, and that's how they was able to come down. But that's not true, because I'm gonna disprove that theory with first time we read this article down. Disprove that theory with the scriptures. So it says the earliest explorers identified the indigenous American peoples comfortably as far-flung East Asians, but as it became manifest that the Americas were as new and uncharted part of the world, new theories developed as to the origins of the Indians. And Indian basically doesn't mean idiots. They're basically what the word means. It was invented by Edomites who believe they top dog and stuff. They superior to every other race. So they put the slut Indian down on the Native Americans. Now, the temptation was strong to find an ancient connection, whether in the writings of Classic and Iniquity or the mysteries of the Old Testament. Spanish observers were the first to begin categorizing lists of practices by the indigenous people that evoked Jewish customs, while the Spaniards turned away from the conclusion that the Indians were descendants of the 10 lost tribes. Other colonial and old world observers, including even fake Jews themselves, will continue to speculate on this topic through the end of the 17th century. Authors representing a different religion tradition viewed the recovery of the Judaic remnants in the New World as a fulfillment of the biblical prophecy, making it possible that the reuniting of all the world's Jews. So basically people starting to realize that they practicing traditions that only the Israelites kept. For example, the garments having fringes. Cause if you look up many clothes that they wore, many of their clothes had fringes on them. Now it says Bible Polyglot. It said this magnificent 8-volume Bible in Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, and Latin was second of the greatest polyglots. It was basically called let me skip down. It said consideration of New World geography was no by the means out of bounds for biblical commentators in the Renaissance. The discovery of new lands presented an opportunity to reconsider old knowledge. The Benedict's Arius, called Montanus, was one of those speculating that the descendant of Ophir, a son of Noah, could have settled in Peru or further north of what is now the coast of California. Ideas about the nature of the western coast of North America at this time still entirely speculated. We said the Hope of Israel. I'm gonna skip this 21, 22. The Hope of Israel, published here in Ladino or Judeo-Spanish, in favor to prove that the lost tribes of Israel were to be found in America. The prominent part of the text is narrative of Aaron, Levi, Elias, Antonio de Matanzos, who reported on contact with South American Indians who continued the practice of ancient Judaism. The work had also published in English and intended to promote readmission of the Jews to England. Manasseh ben Israel. Basically this is the first Dutch edition of Manasseh ben Israel, or Bavaria, which includes the text that studied that indigenous American were descended from the tribe of ancient Israel. Okay, so someone just like more details that's leading up to it. Now this scripture is what I wanted to bring out. It's in the Apocrypha, Second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40. Let's start at 41. No, let's start like at verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Uzziah, the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Israel, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelleth, that they might there keep their statutes which they had never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then shows signs of them, and held still the flood that they passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half, and the same region is called Westwith. So this land, before it was called America, it was known as Westwith. Now it said it took a year and a half to get to this land. To get to this land, it says, like, and King Solomon had also knew about this land. Like, King Solomon also knew about this land, but that's a story for another day. So it says, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. And it says whenever mankind dwell. That's idea, because the Native Americans, the northern tribes was the first ones to ever make established colonization in North America. So that's a big key, or a big, however you want to say it, to point that those also consist of the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Now, something else I want to research is that, like, they found a tablet, as you might say. It says the Los Lunas de Cálculo song. The Los Lunas inscription is a abridged version of the colloquial. So like I cannot. The colloque, or 10 Commandments, carved into the flat face of large boulder, resting on the side of Hidden Mountain near Los Lunas, New Mexico, about 35 miles south of Albuquerque. So, and this is ancient, and this is Paleo Hebrew writing. So how did this get here? How did this get here, man? How did this get here? It's a simpler answer, man. They knew, like, the Native Americans knew Hebrew. They knew the old version and the newer version. Now let me check to see. You see some of these? You see? See, some of these have fringes. Majority of the clothes that Native Americans wore have fringes on them. You see, it says Numbers 15, chapter 15, verse 38 to 40. Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations. And they put on the fringes a border of a wood band of blue, and this shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of of Yahweh and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, and after which ye used to go a horn, that ye may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your power. So basically, the point of the fringes was for us to remember the Ten Commandments. So, like, for natives to wear fringes in their clothes, it show that they are, that shows that they know the customs of, show that they know the customs to be an Israelite. But many of them there go off and stuff. But that was bound to happen. But anyway, Shalom Akim and Barak.